major residential structures built along the riverfront. But in order to convert it, first off, they had to punch holes in the side of the building for every window and balcony on the structure. They also had to remove the original insulation as it was still made from horsehair. Anybody else feel a few drops there as we passed under? Could be a lot worse. That's the Kinsey Street Bridge. That's a fairly infamous spot in river tour history. Any Dave Matthews fans on the boat? Because there weren't the night this happened. So back in the 2000s, Dave Matthews family was born here in Chicago, and as they were leaving town, they were driving their tour, but obviously not them, the Dodge drivers were driving the bus. They drove the bus over the Kinsey Street Bridge, and as you saw, it's a graded base on that, so the grade just falls right through the river. The bus driver, in the attempt to save himself some time later, figured, I can open the valve on the sewage tank as we're driving over. It's the Chicago River, I'm probably going to improve the water quality down there. And it probably would have been fine. Probably wasn't the first guy who's ever done that. Everything would have been okay if there hadn't been a tour boat under them at the time. No, it's exactly as bad as you think it. I'm not going to elaborate further. Use your imagination. They did stop the tour at that point, and Fred and the band, who again, I'd like to remind everybody, had nothing to do with what happened there, ended up paying most of the damages to Fred the boat and compensated the people who were affected by, let's call it the band's product. I don't believe that driver was driving for very much longer, but you know, anytime you're out of the river, you think, a couple of little drops, or it's a little too sunny, or it's a little too chilly out, just always remember, it could absolutely always be worse. Now, once again, we're passing the Wolf Point here for our final time of the day. But as you see, we've passed through this section a lot. It's a major meeting point of most of the river branches in the area, which is why this is where Chicago, the town, actually started. There's a lot of it to the east, a lot of it to the west, but spread out in every direction. Chicago built the first trading post where the river and lake met because that was a nice changeover point. But this natural meeting point of waterways, this is where the first inklings of a community really started forming in the late 1800s, early 1800s, before the town's creation. You get here, you enter the area, so log cabins are around this area. But it sits on the site, low bridge, of the Sauganash Hotel. It's going to get real low here, it's a very important story. The Sauganash Hotel, which was one of the first hotels in the area, had a fairly large open bar area. Home of Chicago's first theater company, first pharmacy. It's also where the town of Chicago was founded because it was the only place that had a room large enough to actually fit everybody at the time, which, to remind you, was only 300 people. Conversely, it also means Chicago was founded in a bar. Our history makes a lot more sense when you hear that. And it's remarkably consistent because the Sauganash burned to the ground a couple of years later. Our history tends to go in cycles. But following the fire of the Sauganash, they built a new hotel in that spot called the Wigwam Hotel, which ended up growing enough in prominence that the site for the second ever Republican National Convention, where they nominated their first candidate for president, Abraham Lincoln. And the convention was so well attended, there wasn't enough room in any of the rooms inside the building to give his acceptance speech for his nomination. However, the front lawn of the Wigwam, which is now Packer Drive, there's a big bronze plaque on the street with Lincoln's big book on it. So a lot of Chicago's early history really condensed on that one little spot because Wolf Point is really where Chicago's history starts. Now, on the left here, you guys can see the 110 North Wacker building. This was finished in 2022, so this is the most contemporary structure we're going to see on the tour today. Not only in that blue silvery coloration, which again is really kind of dominating this sort of early part of the 21st century, but you can see it's also starting to extend out over the Chicago River. That's what those large steel pillars are for, to support the building essentially being just slightly over the Chicago River. There's only two buildings on the river that do this, that one and 150 North Riverside, and it's not a coincidence, they were both done by Goshen. On the left, this large stone building is another neoclassical structure. One of the few that you really don't need me to tell you the name of, because you can see it's written on the side of the side. This is the Chicago Civic Opera building. This is a weird little quirk of neoclassical buildings. Because the Latin alphabet doesn't have a U, and they're attempting to this this classical styling. Even though they're writing in English, they'll substitute U's for V's to make it look more classically. It's how you also end up with the Chicago Public Library and the Chicago Art Institute. So it's wrong, but it's at least consistently wrong. The flat blank back wall of the building is actually the back wall of the stage, because this was originally occupied by Chicago Civic Opera. Unfortunately, they went under during the Great Depression. This has been replaced with Chicago Lyric Opera, who still occupies that space to this day. On the left, the Chicago